And back then, this was in 1990. It's actually 500 pages in the book to answer the question. And we were exploring this kind of new space that electronic music and the new wave of psychedelics had introduced, because it was this opportunity for community to come together, and it was very unifying, and there was that experience that nobody had had before, you know, community coming together without reason, without excuses, without politics or ideology, just on the dance floor. And we were trying to, as a group of friends who were squatting, we were trying to get this into words, and so we were doing little zines and things. And so it was nice working in a photocopy shop. So in front of me on the wall in the basement, in front of the big Canon laser copier, were these pictures, and one of them was a spiral fossil ammonite, which is, as you know, a spiral. And yeah, it's very beautiful. To me, it kind of represented evolution and the spiral of life. And because I was new to the job, I had to experiment with the controls on the photocopier. So I took the spiral ammonite photograph from the wall, I put it on the glass of a photocopier, and I started to experiment. And I was zooming in, I was zooming out, I was distorting, I was changing colours, you know, I was having fun. And there was this very strange connection in that I had this very simple realisation that the spiral went in forever, and went up forever, went all directions sideways, and it wasn't just the line, it was the space between. It was all connecting simultaneously with everything. All things are connected. Which sounds very simple, but it was like a personal revelation. And it was this symbol of evolution and of life. And we were squatting, and we had a really big collective of friends. We decided we were going to do a party because we had a nice big basement. It's normal, of course, you're a basement, you're on the sound system, you're going to have a party. And because this squat and this free space was kind of a magnet for creative people to come together, Debbie came, Simone, Sebastian, Ixie wasn't there at that moment, but all the friends in the area, they came, and we just needed some kind of flag, if you like, some kind of name for our group that was happening at that moment. And so the spiral there, this sort of revelation, if you like, it was a bit of an epiphany, and the words tribe, spiral, tribe, was very poetic. It didn't really need any explanation. Nobody had to explain to you what the idea was. It was spiral tribe. It had a kind of genetic DNA that clearly our creative collective, our creative community was spiral tribe, and that's how the name came into being. So it was a little bit of serendipity, a bit of chaos, creative chaos, a little bit of technology, zooming in and out, personal revelation, understanding that community is all connecting, that life is all connecting, and the need to try and express in language and in words what the concept was, without having to explain it. You know, just something that was artistic and a little half rhyme, spiral tribe.
Qué guay. Muy guay.
That's it. But the longer story is, like I say, 500 pages of the book. And that's all the adventures that we had with the gangsters, with the drug dealers, with the police, with the government. You know, we had many adventures along the way as we tried to provide free space for the community. But the main thing, if I understand you, is we didn't start as being political animals, but obviously life is political. Living in the capitalist society, you have to be political. We wanted to try and create something different because London was expensive. The only free space was to occupy space, was to squat, and there was a lot of empty property because of the corrupt politics. of the time. So we would just move into empty spaces and we would open the doors and the community would come in. And so we moved from empty space to empty space to empty space, getting bigger and bigger and bigger till eventually we were in warehouse spaces, big industrial zones. And then we had to explode out of London into the countryside, into the fields, where we continued with the free festivals. Because by that point we had thousands of people. Because all we were doing was just doing what we thought was normal, what was needed, as you say. You know, free social space, open access, and invite everybody. Everybody could come. I mean, all we were doing. I mean, as far as we were concerned, well, first we were just having fun. Then we realised when we were opening up community space that actually we were creating community, because a lot of the privatisation, the gentrification had closed down spaces, social spaces that the community had wanted. Like the first place we had our first sound system was a Caribbean shebeen that had been closed down previously by the police. And we had no idea, we just thought it was an old disco. So we went in there and we opened it up, and so all the local young kids and gangs came down and they were like, yes, you know, they've opened up our space again. And so we were immediately accepted into the local community as an active part of the community. So that's where we sort of learned the lesson that what we were doing was community building. Even though we just started off having fun, just having relationships with each other, but then it's a wider thing because it's missing. You know, it doesn't exist in the kind of hyper-individualism of the capitalist state oppression. And, you know, and then when the police interest kind of started to arrive, it started to give shape to what the problem was. You know, at first with the police, it was just, oh, the police are here because we're making some noise. Yeah, we turn it down a little bit. The police disappear, we turn it back up. You know, it was just this, or they want to try and stop the people going to the party, so we go around the back and we go over the wall and we do the party. You know, it was nothing political. But of course, as we continue doing it weekend to weekend, non-stop. I mean, I have no idea why we were doing it every weekend. I would never do that.
She asked what was the worst experience you have with the police? The Acton Lane.
Acton Lane.
¿Me lo enseñas? Hostia.
Yeah, I mean, this is the aftermath. The violence was extreme and it was continuous. What they did is they surrounded the building and they wouldn't let people arrive or leave. And it was a siege for 2.5 hours. And they started to destroy the walls and come through the walls. There were riot police with no numbers, and in England they're supposed to have numbers on, they had no numbers, and it was serious violence. And as I say, this doesn't show the violence, and these were different police, but you can see the destruction. You know, that place was like a missile strike, after which there was water coming down from the ceiling, there was broken bricks all over the floor. All the sound system was smashed. People were really badly injured. The hospital was full. No arrests. They didn't arrest anybody. It was just a terror attack.
Querían miedo, ¿no? Ya está.
Querían aterrorizar.
Querían que tuvieras miedo y no lo hicieras más.
So that was the worst. And after this, we went into the countryside. You know, because, as you say, we didn't want to do violence. You know. What could we do? Because the problem with the police in Britain now and then is they try to provoke violence because they actually get more funding for more militarisation, the more violence they need. And any resistance, you know, if you don't comply with what the police are asking, that's what they want. They want you not to comply because then there's a problem and then more police can come and then there's a bigger action and they are extreme. They will take it to the limits. Every time, so it's best just to disappear and hopefully be secret. So we went off to do secret parties in Wales, in the mountains, in the forest, until Castlemorgan. This was just a few weeks before Castlemorgan.
I read the book.
Oh, you read the book?
Yeah, because
good.
I'm one of the donors.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. No, that's wicked. Cheers. Because that made it all happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, nice one. So, yeah, and we didn't realise until this this was just a kind of mysterious dark cloud of horror over us, and then we went, as I say, into the wilderness, and then we went to Castle Morton, and it wasn't until after Castle Morton that we realised there was a police operation against us. You know, because I guess we were just naive, which on one hand is good, on one hand it's bad. I mean, it's good because we wouldn't have done what we did if we had any idea how much violence and problems it would cause us.
No, it's not that they cause problems, because you were not causing problems to people.
No, exactly.
You know, it's that they have no interest in this.
Exactly.
The political and the police.
That's it. You see, going back to your original question, it was after all this, I guess, the police and the government would say that we'd been radicalised, but actually it wasn't a question of being radicalised. It was a question of us understanding how radical they were and what their agenda was. You know, their agenda, their agenda was to stop people coming together as a group, as a community, and making new relationships, you know, and that's why they brought in all the new
Ay, joder, me voy a poner a
laws.
llorar, en serio.
That's why they brought in all the new laws to actually break that from happening, so that, you know, people, they removed the right to gather, freedom of movement, assembly, freedom of assembly, after Castle Morton, and they were using all the front page newspaper things of, you know, there's this terrible techno-pagans, no stopping the techno-pagans, they come to destroy the peace and tranquility of Middle England kind of idea as the propaganda to then bring in this new legislation to stop protests, to stop the Roma or Gypsy people, football, just generally any community group. There was not really anything to do with three parties. That was the small parts of it. So as I say, you know, going back to that question, it really was more to do with us beginning to understand, you know, we understood, we didn't become radical and more extreme, we just began to understand the way the politics and the system was against us. Is that good? Don't you? Because it's just about data overload. When you're young, you're just learning everything. You're just like, oh, wow, being alive, life, relationships. You know, you're super distracted, taking on information, and so you haven't had time to really reflect on what you know and how things are working. So I think that's where propaganda, advertising, marketing, that takes advantage of young people. I think a lot of that is directed at young people to manipulate them into a particular tunnel. And it does take some really quite powerful experiences to break away from that and to sort of be free just to think and just to reflect on what's the construct.
This is why youth cultures are so important.
Yes.
Because it's the moment where things are divided. You know, you will be a slave of the market, or you will be trying to be free of the market.
If there's no alternative. And I think, you know, to have something coherent and intelligent and reasonable is the direction. This is why I'm so passionate about the art, the music, and the writing now. You know, any other form of communication. And events, of course, because that's also a creative act. And, you know, we've all had those moments, haven't we, in life where we were talking about it last night, you know, a certain book, or, you know, a certain piece of music, or just a certain meeting with somebody changes your life. You know, just one small detail. And I think if you are aware of that, and as an artist, a creative, as somebody who knows this, you can actually make those opportunities for other people. Anyway, is that good?
Muchas gracias.
Fantastic 2 weeks, isn't it?